Today I want to share with you something that is really close to my heart, which is color in abstract painting. I believe that specifically in abstract art, color is just like number one way of expression, and that what creates the most connection with the viewer, with the collector. So it's really important to hit the mark, hit the goal with the color, with a successful color and a good color palette. And over the years I have been able to observe and see what color palettes really work, specifically for my art especially, and abstract painting, and what people are resonating the most. So today I want to share with you my 5 go-to color palettes for abstract art. But before we dive into it, hi, my name is Esther Franchuk. I'm an abstract artist, painter, traveler, creative. I make videos about everything around my art studio, tips for artists and collectors, and so much more. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit notification bell so you will not miss any of the new videos. Since I was in my very first art school and art college, I used to really love color, and I would always push it like couple levels up. So we would start with something like realistic, like really traditional art would be a bit like more earthy and towards muddy colors combination, and realistic art in general is like way more softer and maybe more like toned down. But I would always bring my colors on my specific color study or painting like volumes up and make it like really expressive and bright and bold. And I was scolded even a little bit in my art schools for painting too bright and like having too cheerful of the colors for this type of painting that we were making traditionally. But I noticed it back then, and since those initial years of studies I developed this into strength, and I really used it as a way of self-expression in my work. I noticed though 2 years ago when I transitioned to painting abstract work that color is not anymore just like portraying the objects in color, but it became a main character. It became the way of expression. Color itself has to tell a story and has to be the leading element in the work, which was really different than before, when I would just start from something realistic and representational and fill it up with color and just tone colors up a couple volumes, but I would like just start from realistic color and color combination. And in abstract work, when there was no point of reference in terms of like it wouldn't be just coloring in certain objects or giving a color story to an already existing imagery that I'm drawing from the real inspiration. It would be just color itself is like as a main element of art alongside with composition that creates a story on a piece. And I ran into a lot of trouble in my very first abstract painting because they were just looking like a rainbow. I was putting all kind of colors together and trying to see what works, and painting and overpainting until it developed into something that I liked. So over a lot of experimentation with the color stories and just creating painting after painting throughout the years, I finally like arrived to the color palette that I like. And of course they're always gonna develop, and I'm gonna try different things because you never arrive as an artist on this journey. But I really want to share with you today what are those 5 color palettes that I'm using right now frequently, and that I figure out that just work, and they speak to collectors, they speak through emotion to people, and they also fit well into interiors. Number 1 palette that I love using in my work is monochromatic palette or limited color palette, which is basically a limited palette. So you use just couple colors. It could be within one color of the spectrum, a couple colors on the spectrum that are close to each other on the color wheel, or it's simply black and white with multiple shades of color added to it. So it's just really soft and soothing. It's minimal. It fits into a lot of interiors actually, because not everyone loves bright colors, not everyone is feeling comfortable living with too of a bright expressive colors. So just the limited palette that is like really toned down and calm, and with a pop of color, of complementary color, or any color pop that is just slightly incorporated somewhere and leads the eye, is a great way to give some color and mood to the space without overwhelming the place and the collector. Because as I said, we are not the same, so some people just really love this limited, clean look on their walls. My 2 favorite paintings that I did in this way with a monochromatic or limited palette are Path of Abundance and Miraculous Peace. They started with black and white, really limited beginnings, but then I started incorporating a little bit of blue and purple within the gray grays and midtones of the piece. And as I was building it up and just really trying and playing with the variation of the blues and purple, still toning it towards black or gray in some parts, plus just lots of creamy white, and then I complemented it with some orange shades to kind of complement the blues that I had in those pieces. So they are really calm pieces. They have really restful feeling to them, but they're still colorful, and they fit into multiple places because of this limited palette. Another color palette that I use a lot, kind of my latest discovery after our trip to Australia, because there were just so many lush and greens and I felt so inspired by all of the landscapes. So this color palette started as an attempt to bring those inspirations from the trip onto the canvas, and then as I was just gathering some extra inspiration and just seeing what people decorate their homes with and how interiors look like, the modern interiors, like what is trending right now, I found out that green is actually with some blush and pink together is a really successful color palette, and is really trending color palette these days, because people just have a lot of plants in their homes, and if they have wooden furniture, it just really flows together and it fits perfectly into so many different interiors. So as I was seeing those tendencies, I really felt more and more comfortable of trying green, even though it's really not my favorite color to go to. And I never really painted that much in it, but as I created a couple paintings in that series, they sold right away. I just felt even more confident that this is a really good color palette, and specifically for my colors and what I'm doing, like the kind of work I'm creating, I'm still able to express a lot and tell stories within this color palette, and it also ends up selling really well and speaking to people really well because of how well it fits into their spaces. My favorite pieces that I've done so far in this color palette are Dwelling Place, August, and Arise Love. All three paintings sold out pretty fast, I would say, and they all had green as a leading color. And when I say like green color palette or green-pink color palette, I don't mean it just has these two colors. Of course, it has different colors that are going in addition to it, but just a presence of those two colors that are complementary colors, and they kind of play a leading role in the piece. They drive the piece and create a mood in the piece. That's what I meant by the color palette. But of course, you are free to use like additional colors, and altogether it will create a way more sophisticated color story in your pieces. Another color palette that I love a lot, and it kind of carries the most of the emotional resonance with me, is purple with touches of gold and yellow. This color palette came really organically to me. One of the first pieces that I felt like was my breakthrough piece, it's called North Wind, like my favorite painting in this whole time probably that I have done. It started with a rainbow, and then I was just putting color over color and trying different color palette, and in the end, starting with green, yellow, pink, orange, blue, like, you know, and you think about color, like you name it, like every single color has been on that painting. And then in the end, it really transitioned into being really limited to blues and purple with touches of gold and magenta, and I really loved that piece. I really connected with it. I felt like it was just coming really organically and really pulling together as I limited myself to those purple shades that I felt drawn to in the first place. And then the gold leaf and all of this just like gilding elements in it just really complemented it well. And this piece also sold pretty fast, and then I created a couple pieces in a similar color palette, and they also sold. Also, looking back to when I was painting more representationally, I had a series of paintings with astronauts, and they were all in the purples with touches of gold and silver, and they sold pretty fast. And they just go to a different kind of interiors, and with like high ceilings and more like royal type of luxurious decor. People like purple because it's mysterious, it's really storytelling color, it's really mystic and inspirational. It kind of has this dreamlike feeling to it, so I feel like there's just different people that resonate with it and collect art that has those color palettes, but it's also a really successful and beautiful color palette to go with. I actually created a whole series of astronauts that called dreamers and warriors, and that kind of people that got those pieces, because they were the dreamers type of people, and they really resonated with the story and the color story of those pieces. Also, if you're interested of how exactly I work with color and how I bring those exact color palettes to life on the actual painting, in the actual process, I created a course called Confident Abstracts, where I bring you through the whole journey from the very beginning and inspiration for the piece to the final stages of the painting, and the whole process is documented, no time lapses, no skips in between. You're able to see the whole process, and it also has a lot of exercising to work with color, to create color palettes, and also how to work with monochromatic and color, like both, how to bring these two together, and how to use interior inspiration for creating your own unique color story. So all of it is documented, and my whole process is documented, and it's not just one painting and color studies, it's 3 full large-scale abstract paintings with different color stories, different composition, and so much more. So if you're interested to learn more about my process and how I choose color stories for my art, make sure to check the link in the video description down below, where you can find all of the information. Another color palette that I have been using a lot, and I felt like people were also connecting a lot with it, was soft pinks and yellows. And also, of course, like all of the additional colors that go well with it, that kind of close in the spectrum. So it had touches of orange and terracotta, a little bit of magenta, but really a lot of shades were like going towards pastel as well. So it's like very soft, feminine color palette, really just light and soothing. It's kind of like spring, summer vibe and feeling to them. I also had some abstract imagery of butterflies incorporated on the background, in the layers underneath for collage. So it really, also really dreamy color palette, and it was speaking a lot to my collectors. A lot of my collectors are women, also young women, and I felt like this color palette was resonating a lot with them, with this like spring and new beginnings, motherhood. It's just like really soft and nice color palette, and it also serves as a color pop in the space without overwhelming the interior so much. It's kind of this like shining sun, but like it's not too bright or aggressive. So even if the space is more limited, I felt like this color palette kind of fits everywhere, because it just serves as like an accent in the space and the color pop without being too much. Another color palette that I really like and use a lot in my work is the blue with touches of orange color palette, and it's both bold and soft blues, pastel and more bright blues. Some of my favorite pieces that I have done so far in this color palette are Wrapped Up in Blues, Softly Spoken, Pacific Peace and Trivial Pursuit. Most of those pieces also already sold, besides maybe 1 or 2, because blue is just the color that goes well to the bedrooms, it goes well to working places, entryways, living rooms. It's really a universal color that a lot of people connect with. It reminds them of the sky, of the sea, of wildflowers. It's just color that we see a lot around us in the natural world, that inspire us and soothes us and softens us. So it's just a really good color palette that a lot of people found comfortable living with. So to wrap up, color is one of the most important elements of art when it comes especially to abstract painting. Alongside with composition is a very backbone and base of a good, successful abstract painting, and color on its own is just a driver in terms of creating an emotional response in between the piece and the collector. Also, please let me know in the comment section which color speaks to you the most and why. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I have so many more videos about starting different paintings with a certain color palette and how I execute on them. And if you're interested in learning more about creating successful color stories and even more in depth about my process, you can find all of the links to other YouTube videos and the course down below. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next week. Some of my favorite pieces that I have done so far in this color palette are it's somehow so hard to remember the names of the paintings. My own paintings, okay?